Sometimes team members don't believe that they're good at what they're doing. Insert imposter syndrome, right? The best way that leaders can help to combat this feeling is by engaging with their team members' career interests. Welcome to the Workforce Link podcast, where we're offering forward-thinking conversations for the workforce, linking employers and job seekers to a brighter tomorrow. I'm your host, Sunday Jo Graham, and I am glad to be back with you for another episode. So a couple of episodes ago, we spent some time going through an article from Asana on how to overcome imposter syndrome in the workplace, and I will link to that in the show notes for you. We talked about the characteristics of imposter syndrome. We talked about the 5 types, and then we talked about the 9 ways to overcome imposter syndrome. And so we'll do a quick recap of that today, but I won't go into detail since we already did that in a previous episode. But today I want to focus on another part of that article. I want to focus on the 6 ways managers can prevent imposter syndrome, which I'm actually calling 6 ways leaders can prevent imposter syndrome in the workplace. And again, I will link to the article in the show notes for you. So if you manage a team, you want to support them and you want to reduce the chances of experiencing imposter syndrome, right? At least hopefully you do. Before we dive in though, I would love to ask a favor. Make sure you share this episode with others. The more you share, the more people we get to help. Maybe you know somebody who's struggling with this very thing, imposter syndrome. Send them this episode, let them know their whole life is about to change, and thank you in advance for doing so. Now, let's get to today's episode on 6 ways leaders can prevent imposter syndrome in the workplace. So again, we talked about this in the previous episode we did on imposter syndrome, but I want to just do a quick recap for us. So according to the Asana article, imposter syndrome is a sense of self-doubt related to work accomplishments. You might have feelings of phoniness, think you don't deserve your job. Oftentimes, imposter syndrome makes you feel like you're tricking your coworkers into thinking you're good at your job. And other symptoms of this include lack of self-confidence at work, sensitivity of small mistakes, fear of failing your team, and burnout from working too hard. And we also covered the 5 types of imposter syndrome as identified by Dr. Valerie Young. And I won't go into detail about each one, but I will list them out for you. Number 1 was the perfectionist. Number 2, the expert. Number 3, the natural genius. Number 4, the soloist. And number 5, the superhuman. And then we covered the 9 ways to overcome imposter syndrome, which was focus on the facts, acknowledge, validate, then let go, share how you're feeling, look for evidence, reframe your thoughts, look for a mentor, learn from your team members, anticipate imposter syndrome to reduce its effects, and then toot your own horn. And again, for more detail, you can listen to the previous episode on imposter syndrome. We dove headfirst into this into way more detail. And again, you can find the link to that in the show notes. Do you want hands-on experience as you decide what career you want to pursue? Through on-the-job training, work experiences, and apprenticeships, Central Missouri Job Center staff are ready to help set you up for success today. Learn more about our on-the-job training program, an excellent opportunity to get hands-on experience from an employer while earning a paycheck. It's a win-win for everyone. Employers get the workforce they need, and you get the experience you need. Or there's our work experience program, available to job seekers ages 14 to 24 with little or no work experience. This provides the opportunity to meet with prospective employees while also taking advantage of critical workplace training. Gaining work experience gives you the needed work background to secure future jobs. Our registered apprenticeship opportunities are an alternative earn while learning combination of training and employment. Apprentice workers gradually earn more as they reach higher levels of productivity and receive a nationally recognized occupational credential. To learn more about our work-based learning programs, visit cwdregion.com/learning today and find the Central Region Job Center near you. That's cwdregion.com/learning, and I will share the link in the show notes for you. So let's look at a few ways, 6 ways to be exact, on how to help support your team and help reduce the chances of them experiencing imposter syndrome. Number 1, establish clear expectations early on. So explaining the job expectations, the metrics for success, and progress checkpoints that helps give your direct reports a clear sense of how they're doing. So start by setting expectations on your team members' first day of work. Implement a 30-day plan, a 60-day plan, a 90-day plan. And these should be shorter term goals that they can accomplish while onboarding and learning more about the company. Once the new hire is more established, work with them to set longer term key performance indicators or KPIs. The key here is making sure their goals are always measurable and making sure they're time bound. So, number one, establish clear expectations early on. Number two, provide immediate opportunities for connection. So, in addition to laying out the path for success from day one, make sure everybody else also has ample opportunity to connect with other teammates. And one of the best ways to do this, Asana recommends, is to set your new team member up with a mentor. And that mentor should be a peer in an adjacent team so that they have somebody to talk to who isn't their manager. Great idea. Also, similarly, make sure all team members are aware of any resources that you offer, that your organization offers, maybe an employee resource group. You can also connect them to people with similar interests. Maybe there's a pet lovers group in your work. Who knows? I think we need one of those, a pet lovers group in our organization. That would be awesome. Anyway, number two, provide immediate opportunities for connection. Number three, clarify communication norms. It can be intimidating if team members don't know where to ask questions or they don't know who to go to ask those questions. Without a clear sense of team and communication norm, team members can have a hard time overcoming that initial hurdle. So to help do this, set up a time to sit with team members, answer any questions that they have. Some examples that Asana gives, make sure to cover these things: which tool to use when, who to go to if they have questions, team conventions for things like asking questions during meetings. Make sure you have a communication plan because that reduces the guesswork and also lowers the barrier to entry for easier communication. So number three, clarify communication norms. Number four, check in frequently. Consider implementing a check-in during your one-on-one meetings. Offer a place for the team member to share how they're doing. So when you're transparent as a leader about their personal experiences, about your personal experiences, guess what? It encourages the team members to do the same, which is what we've been talking about, right? Imposter syndrome. And the last article that we talked about in a previous episode, I think it was like 62% of people struggle with imposter syndrome. So be real with your team member about, hey, this is where I struggle. Like, just get it out in the open, okay? So number four, check in frequently. Number five, share feedback early and often. So more often than not, imposter syndrome isn't based on the reality of a team member's situation. And sometimes feedback, both positive and constructive, help team members get a better sense of how they're doing. So share feedback early and share it often. Number six, support their career growth interests. Sometimes team members don't believe that they're good at what they're doing. Insert imposter syndrome, right? The best way that leaders can help to combat this feeling is by engaging with their team members' career interests. So here's an example that Asana gives. If someone is interested in becoming a people manager, offer them a role as a new hire's mentor, or offer them to take ownership of maybe a new intern's project during the summer. Showing your team members that you believe in them, showing them that you are committed to their career growth can provide a huge confidence boost that they need. And honestly, we all need a confidence boost, right? So number six, support their career growth interests. And that just about covers it for today. So let's do a quick recap on how to help support your team and help reduce the chances of them experiencing imposter syndrome. Number one, establish clear expectations early on. Number two, provide immediate opportunities for connection. Number three, clarify communication norms. Number four, check in frequently. Number five, share feedback early and often. And number six, support their career growth interests. And remember that fostering a supportive work environment is key. It's instrumental in combating imposter syndrome among team members. And so the strategies that we've explored from this article today, they're offering you some really great actionable steps for you to empower your team, for you to ensure a workplace culture that values growth, that values open communication, that values professional development. And again, thank you to Asana for sharing this amazing article for us to dive into. And again, I have shared the link in the show notes for you to this full article. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, would you mind sharing it with somebody else that you think could benefit? And don't forget to leave us a review. Let us know what you thought of this episode. It means a lot to us and it helps us stay visible so others can find us. And if you need any assistance with job searching, gaining more work skills, learning about our training programs, resume assistance, you name it, we've got you covered with our Central Region Job Centers. You can find your closest job center today at cwdregion.com/job centers, and I will share the link in the show notes for you. Have a great week, my friend, and we will meet again in the next episode. Until then, remember this: there's always a brighter tomorrow if you're willing to find it. The Central Region Workforce Development Board Incorporated and COPIC are equal opportunity employers and programs. Auxiliary aids and services are available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Missouri Relay Services at 711.